Hey guys, Barky here with an iceberg video. We're going into the Five Nights at Freddy's iceberg, so strap in, grab yourself a Coke Zero, and enjoy. Let's get started. If I had to explain to you what FNAF is, chances are you don't know what it is. So FNAF, or Five Nights at Freddy's, is a media franchise created by Scott Cawthon in 2014. The main series consists of 9 video games taking place in locations connected to a fictional family pizza restaurant franchise named Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, after his mascot, the animatronic bear Freddy Fazbear. In most games, the player assumes the role of a nighttime employee who must utilize tools such as security cameras, lights, doors, and vents to defend themselves against hostile animatronic characters that inhabit the locations. The series' lore is gradually revealed through voice recordings, minigames, and Easter eggs featured throughout the games. Alright, let's get started with Tier 1. 1987 in FNAF 1's Custom Night. The 1987 Custom Night legend is an urban legend revolving around FNAF 1. In the first game, players have the option to select the difficulty of the individual characters before beginning their game. In addition to this, one of the most important years in the game's lore is the year 1987. In order to unlock the Custom Night, the player must give Freddy difficulty 1, Bonnie difficulty 9, oh that's impossible, Chica difficulty 8, and Foxy difficulty 7. And after doing so, the player will have to select Ready. And doing so will cause the face of the character known as Golden Freddy to appear, and he will let out a low-pitched scream and the game will crash. Freedom. This refers to the jump scare sound effect used in FNAF 2. Some people have speculated that it's not just a loud noise and the animatronics are saying, freedom. It's me. This entry refers to an Easter egg in FNAF 1 that has a 0.1% chance of occurring every second. It appears as a hallucination of Golden Freddy's head with the caption, "It's me," and some creepy noises. It's me sign at Pirate's Code. This is another hallucination in the game that has a reportedly 10% chance of happening. It refers to Foxy's sign in Pirate's Code changing from saying, "Sorry, out of order," to "It's me." Mike Kill All. This refers to the FNAF 2 trailer in which you can hear children singing "London Bridge is Falling Down." Some people claim that when you reverse the audio, you can hear "The Killer is Out" and "Mike Kill All." Of course, I don't know why anyone would think that this reveals any information about the franchise at all, because if you reverse any other recording of "London Bridge is Falling Down, you should be able to hear the same thing. The animatronics get a little bit quirky at night. The animatronics get a bit quirky at night is a line by Phone Guy, which people have repurposed and overlaid over footage of, I can't believe I'm saying this, footage of Freddy Fazbear twerking. Was it me? These were a set of teasers released while Scott was making FNAF 4. They were each of a nightmare animatronic with the text of something similar to "Was it me?" The teaser having a color scheme relating to that specific animatronic, such as blue, red, yellow, brown, and gray for some reason. And there was a hidden text when changing the contrast and brightness of the images, such as Nightmare Foxy's teaser having text that states "out of order," referring to his state in FNAF 1. Other text on the images stated the variant of animatronics these were going to be, which was Nightmare. Was that the bite of 87? This is a meme in the community, which is pretty much a clip of Markiplier saying, in shock, "Was that the bite of 87? That was my Markiplier impression. This originates from a video Markiplier made on Five Nights at Freddy's 4. He says this after seeing the bite of 83, previously thought to be the bite of 87. Spoilers. He would have probably said this in shock after we had finally seen the bite of 83 after 4 games. By the way, this iceberg is going to contain massive spoilers, so you have been warned. Hashtag #StandByScott. This was a hashtag floating around Twitter where people were saying this to support the choice of retirement by Scott Cawthon and also the allegations. Some YouTubers like Daco posted a video talking about the situation, and there were also some other variants of the hashtag such as hashtag #ThankYouScott and hashtag #IStandWithScott. Connection terminated speech. The famous speech is from the true ending to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator, which was released on December 4th, 2017. Upon the player completing the Saturday shift, a message from Scrap Baby is heard, but is quickly interrupted by Henry Emily. It has been used in many different memes and has become its own copypasta. Thank you, teasers. These teasers were used to tease the development of FNAF World. The first had the most characters from FNAF 1 through 4, with the text above them reading, "Thank you." When Scott started to make FNAF World, he began to replace the characters with their adventure counterparts while adding new adventure characters. Once all the adventure animatronics were on there, he added a date for which the game was going to be released on. It was also updated to add the Update 2 characters, Chica's Magic Rainbow, and the protagonists for Foxy Fighters. These were also to showcase questions like, in FNAF 4, why would the tiny toy Chica be missing her beak? And what is seen in the shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. And most famously, 4 games, 1 story. Teasers with the questions were actually being updated on one of the Game Theorist live streams. 50-20 mode. When having all 50 characters set to max in Ultimate Custom Night, it becomes a special challenge called 50-20 mode. The challenge consists of all animatronics on their hardest difficulties all attacking you for the full 6 minutes. This challenge takes a lot of practicing to complete, and that's why Daco screamed and almost cried when completing it. 7 nights. Most games in the franchise have 7 nights, and that being the main 5, the custom night, and night 6. Games that don't abide by this are Security Breach, FNAF 3, and FNAF World. Sorry, I think I'm gonna butcher this next one. Abdul Sissy's FNAF Beatbox. This post refers to a viral video of a TikToker in a yellow shirt sitting in his car and beatboxing to the Living Tombstones FNAF themed song Five Nights at Freddy's 1 song. The video was uploaded to TikTok in August 2021 and went viral, inspiring numerous videos under its original sound. The video saw an increase in popularity around December 2021 as an exploitable on YouTube. Afton family. This is a family in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise in which all of the lore is centered around. The father, William Afton, is obviously the killer and murdered the 5 children. The wife is unknown. The older brother, Michael Afton, put his younger brother into Fredbear's mouth to cause the bite of 83, or the bite of 87 depending on what you believe. The younger brother, the bite victim, was the one who was bitten on his frontal lobe, and the sister, Elizabeth Afton, who was scooped into Circus Baby after being tricked by the ice cream. Afton Robotics LLC. Afton Robotics, fully known as Afton Robotics LLC, a limited liability corporation, is a robotics company that was founded by William Afton, who is also the co-founder of Fazbear Entertainment Inc. It first appeared in sister location, appearing on the blueprints of the core animatronics of that game, Circus Baby, Ballora, Funtime Freddy, and Funtime Foxy. This company has made a huge amount of animatronics that we have seen and will see in the franchise. Ambience. Ambience is an audio cue which is in each FNAF game. They are creepy pieces of audio which can happen at different intervals, and they have been most used in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and have faded out in use in each game. The ambience from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has actually become more popular in recent years as they have become more popularly used in trash posts. Anim Dude. This is the username that the creator of the franchise, Scott Cawthon, goes by on all platforms he has made an account on, besides YouTube, where it's just his legal first and last name. This name is paired with an avatar of a blue pixelated person running with 2 blue squares coming off of the head. His avatar was presumably created for There Is No Pause Button, another game created by Scott for FNAF, but he used it for his profile picture. For the troll game of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, the avatar had a Freddy head replaced over its actual head. Ballora is William's wife. This is a widely popular theory in which people believe that William Afton's animatronic Ballora was actually his wife stuffed into a costume. People believed this because every other person in William's family was involved in some sort of animatronic injury, such as Elizabeth Afton and the bite victim. Also, people believed that William's wife died, and the reason we see nothing about her is because he's grief-stricken. To this day, there is no proof of a Miss Afton for William Afton. Bite of 87 versus Bite of 83. This refers to a debate in the community whether the bite that we see in the FNAF 4 minigame is the Bite of 87 or the Bite of 83. Most people believe it to be the Bite of 87. Until recently. There is an Easter egg which says the date 1983 on it, which made the majority of the fanbase think it was the bite of '83. Bonnie gave Scott nightmares. Scott Cawthon considers the FNAF 1 Bonnie to be the scariest animatronic in the franchise, and he's right. Which may be unusual to some. Scott said this in the interview with Daco, so his opinion could have changed, and this interview took place like a few years ago. Bonnie is purple. When the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 trailer was found by the public after the game was released, there were many oddities in the trailer, and one of the biggest obviously being the lost first trailer, but one of them was about Bonnie being purple, and he looks purple because of the lighting in the trailer. Bonnie is more of a lavender color. Burn Trap. Burn Trap is an optional final boss, saying optional because he is the boss of the Afton ending. He only appears in the Afton ending. This form is likely the result of Vanny somehow downloading Williams' consciousness from the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience into his old hybrid abomination of an animatronic suit, endoskeleton, and the little remains of his corpse. This animatronic has appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach as a main antagonist, hidden and only alluded to throughout the game, and only seen in the Afton ending. Candy Cadet's Stories. For the Candy Cadet minigame in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator, you wait for an accurate time to get a piece of candy from him. If you wait for a precise amount of time, you can get stories from him with a specific theme. The first about a boy who buys 5 kittens, but a snake eats them one by one per day, and the boy then kills the snake by cutting it up and sewing the kitten back together. The second story is about a man who gives 5 orphans toys and food, but a burglar kills them one night, so the guy stitches 5 orphans together and puts them into one single coffin. The third and final story is about a woman locked in a burning building with a key, with 5 doors having 1 kid in each. She melts the keys together thinking it would work on all doors, but it works on none of them. These stories all follow the theme of 5 things becoming one, which could be thought to be the 5 kids William kills, but is unconfirmed what these really refer to. Carl the Cupcake. Chica's Cupcake was the only character in FNAF 1 with an unknown name. This does eventually lead up to people giving the character a fan name. Some fans began calling him Carl, but that name soon caught on with every FNAF fan at the time. It was soon disproved by a Chica action figure, which included Carl, named as Mr. Cupcake. I like Carl better. This was one of the only cases that Scott had not adapted the fan-given name into the actual franchise, like Scrap Trap and Golden Freddy. Cassidy. Cassidy is the soul that people think is possessing Golden Freddy. Although people refuse to believe it as they think there are 2 souls possessing Golden Freddy, Cassidy and the Bite Victim. In 2020, Markiplier released some FNAF merch, with one of them being a golden kazoo called Cassidy Kazoo. CD Plus. By holding C, D, and plus, you can skip nights to 6 a.m. This can be used in FNAF 1 and FNAF 2, but in FNAF 2 you have to hover over Toy Freddy's nose on the poster. But it was soon taken out of FNAF 3. People thought CD Plus was coming to FNAF 3, as on Phantom BB's teaser, it had CD on his hat, but it was probably a coincidence. CG5. This is a person who creates FNAF songs. He does centrally make other songs about other games like Among Us and Poppy's Playtime, but CG5 does also create original music, and he has made some music for the popular Five Nights at Freddy's internet personality Daco, the music being tailored to the franchise. Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. This is the game that Scott made before Five Nights at Freddy's. It follows the story of a lumber company ran by Chipper, a humanoid beaver, whose son, Tyke, has to do certain objectives ranging from collecting a certain amount of wood, talking to other characters, and building specific things, and playing mini games throughout the game. Scott made the game, but he got criticism on it, and the criticism was pretty much people saying that the characters move and look like animatronic characters. After that, he was thinking of quitting game development until he thought of the idea of Five Nights at Freddy's. Confusing timeline. I think that everybody in the FNAF community, or people who have heard of the franchise, know that the franchise has a very confusing timeline. Many people have tried to piece it together, but people argue about what goes where. MatPat has even made some videos trying to piece together the lore, and many people just go with him because people know he researches for a while to get his information. Console and mobile ports. These are versions of the game in which the mechanics are changed to tailor to either mobile devices, which also include a store, and consoles, which make it so the different mechanics for the games correlate with different buttons on the controller. Some people in the community wouldn't usually prefer these versions over the original computer versions. Da Games. This is a person who has created many popular songs in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. They also do gameplay videos on games like Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy's Playtime, and It Takes Two. Although his songs aren't as popular as Living Tombstone, he is still well liked in the community. Daco. Daco is prominent in the FNAF community for making charity streams where he plays FNAF games or fan games. When he hits a specific goal with the money people donate, he teases something. All the money he would make in the streams, he would give to the chosen charity for the stream. Dream Coma Theory. This entry is referring to a theory made by MatPat in the video Game Theory FNAF, the clue that solves Five Nights at Freddy's, in which he believed that the whole franchise was taking place in the dreams of a child, which is really boring. I don't know why you would... No. He gave an example, the grandfather clock. The coma theory is a theory that states that the games take place while the child is in the hospital, in the time between the bite and the eventual removal of his front lobe. The biggest problem with this and Matt's original theory is that the kid dies in the end, and the sound of a heart monitor flatlining is heard signifying the death of the child. Endo 1 and spare heads staring at the camera. There's an Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, in which on the backstage camera, the Endo 1 character and the decapitated animatronic heads of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica all turn towards the camera with fully black eyes and small white pupils. The eyes look similar to when Bonnie stares into the same camera if he were to go into the backstage area. Failed Kickstarter. Scott started the Kickstarter before FNAF 1 was released. He tried to get money to further develop FNAF, but he got 0 backers and no money. It had many backer goals. Some of the most important ones were wallpapers, which are now considered lost media, and Scott would send you new versions of the game when something was updated. Fall Guys, Dead by Daylight, and Fortnite. Now, I know you're thinking this is FNAF Iceberg. It is. This is why it's relevant. These were games in which people began to speculate that FNAF would eventually collaborate with. People thought Springtrap was coming to Dead by Daylight, and people thought there would be multiple Fall Guys costumes, and people thought a Freddy Fazbear skin was coming to Fortnite. Fan art. This definitely doesn't need a very long explanation. Fan art is an art which isn't official to the specific franchise. Five Nights at Freddy's could be up there to be getting the most fan art, but people usually just draw fan art of the characters. Sometimes they might draw fan art of anything relating to Five Nights at Freddy's. Fan-given names being canonized. Many characters used to have no official name outside of the game files, leading fans to come up with their own names for them. Some of these names have grown popular enough to be used officially, including Golden Freddy, Phone Guy, Purple Guy, Withered Animatronics, Shadow Bonnie, Freddles, and Scrap Trap. There are some characters that actually had original names prior to fans just giving them names, such as Golden Freddy, who was actually originally called Yellow Bear until Markiplier made a video called Was That Golden Freddy? Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2. Fan songs. On YouTube, communities of specific franchises make songs about that franchise, Five Nights at Freddy's being one of the most popular when it comes to fan songs. Many people have made songs tailored to this specific franchise, such as the Living Tombstone, Daco, and DA games. Fazbear Fanverse Initiative. This was something started by Scott where he would give money to developers of the most popular fan games to make new ones for the series. Five Nights at Candy's 4, Pop Goes Evergreen, One Night at Flumpty's 3, Joy of Creation Ignited Collection, and FNAF Plus are the games which are being developed or have been developed. Scott also said they will get mobile ports of their games and may or will get merch. Fazbear Frights. This was a series of books which had 3 different stories in them, with one connecting story at the end of each book. There were 12 books in the series, with the 12th not being released solo, and you'd have to buy the 12-book box set to get the 12th. This series later got adapted into a graphic novel series, and the first book was released on July 2nd, 2021. Five Nights at Candy's. This is the most well-known of all of Five Nights at Freddy's fan games. This fan game was created by Emil Mako and is set in the same universe as the official Five Nights at Freddy's series. When this game was released, it came with great feedback, extremely positive, and Five Nights at Candy's 4 has been tied in reviews with FNAF World on GameJolt.com. There was a Reddit post done by Emil Mako, which was a beta version of Candy the Cat without a tie. Some people in the community named this as Sugar and regarded it as a hoax. Five Nights at Freddy's AR Special Delivery. Developed by Illumix, this is an AR game released on Android and iOS. The aim of the game is to defeat the animatronics in an augmented reality situation, which beating these animatronics will get you XP to get stuff from the store and new animatronics. Throughout the game, players subscribe to the Fazbear Entertainment's brand new Fazbear Funtime service and get their favorite animatronics on demand. Due to unfortunate circumstances, the visiting animatronics malfunction and attack subscribers instead of entertaining them. Illumix has updated the game many times with bug fixes, new characters, and new skins, such as Clown Springtrap and Flamethrower Endo, but some skins are based off of holidays such as Chocolate Bonnie and Lovesick Baby. The first of these was actually released as its own character, that being Freddy Frostbear. Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted. Developed by Steel Wool Studios, this is the VR game of FNAF. It is a collection of classic and original minigames set in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. There is a total of 40 playable minigames in the base game, with 3 of them being featured in the demo. After completing the minigames, players can replay them again in a nightmare mode of some sorts, which cranks up the difficulty and distraction in every game. Upon fully completing the game, players are treated to an end which expands upon the lore of the games. The game introduced a key character, Malhare, otherwise known as Glitch Trap, the new incarnation of William Afton, which had invaded the game as a glitch. There have been 2 add-ons to the base game, one being Curse of the Dreadbear DLC and the other one being a non-VR mode. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Security Breach was a video game in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise which started development in 2020. The game was released in 2021 and was a celebration in the community until the many glitches were discovered. The game follows the plot of a child named Gregory who is locked in the Pizzaplex and hides inside Glamrock Freddy's stomach away from the other animatronic band members. This game has been growing infamously because of many glitches found in the game, like texture mess-ups, rendering mess-ups, and animations not working, and many more. FNAF 1's protagonist is the killer. This was a fairly popular theory back in FNAF's heyday, with the main evidence being "it's me." It also provided a good explanation to why the animatronics were attacking you. With each new game, however, it became less and less plausible as new night guards became revealed due to paychecks or pink slips. FNAF 2 is a prequel. Self-explanatory. It comes before FNAF 1 in the timeline, but it was released after FNAF 1 in the real world. It's just what we were talking about earlier with the timeline being very confusing. FNAF in real life. On YouTube, kids' channels used to make videos when FNAF was most popular about FNAF characters visiting them in real life. The most popular one was Foxy, where he can be seen running down a house hallway. Most of the videos were made by a kids' channel called Bubblegum Monsters. FNAF movie set photos. Many photos of the set of the FNAF movie have been posted on sites such as Twitter, and many different things were leaked, like a pizzeria sign and the pizzeria itself and a Freddy animatronic. FNAF referenced in Deltarune. In Deltarune, at Ice Ease Pizza, on the top right, you can speak to a character who says, "Purple guy, man, that guy, you gotta." This is a reference to FNAF as it is near a pizza place and saying the killer's name from the series. Toby Fox denies this being a FNAF reference and didn't know who Purple Guy was. Sure, bro. FNAF will be real in 52 minutes. A meme in which a frame of Freddy from the FNAF 1 trailer being extremely low quality with the impact font text, "FNAF will be real in 52 minutes" on it. Sometimes it's 52 seconds though. That's literally it. FNAF World. A couple months after FNAF 4 was released, Scott Cawthon posted a teaser to the Scott Games site in which it featured most of the characters from Five Nights at Freddy's 1 to 4 and had the text "Thank you" on top. This was basically saying that the franchise was finished and there were no more games after this. This was false. when people started seeing adventure animatronics, a name not known at the time, replacing the canonical counterparts. Later, with the release of FNAF World, a 3D adventure game which you fight numerous enemies to gain stronger and stronger characters to play as, there are many canonical endings such as the clock ending, and many fans dislike this game, even Scott himself, is because of the sudden change in genres and franchise and many more reasons. In fact, Scott even said in his Dawko interview, when he was asked about FNAF World, he said the problems with FNAF World, that's a completely different interview, it's an entire other interview. There was a DLC released for this game named FNAF World Update 2, in which it included most Halloween edition characters. Anim Dude, an 8-bit purple guy sprite, and characters from some of Scott's older games, and this also includes a new final boss. FNAF World on Steam and mobile stores. When Scott had first released FNAF World, he put it on Steam, GameJolt, and mobile. The Steam and mobile variants of FNAF World were quickly taken down for being disliked by fans, and this left the GameJolt variant the only official way to download the game. FNAF X Cloak. This was a collaboration between Five Nights at Freddy's and Markiplier and Jacksepticeye's merch company, Cloak. It was mostly hoodies and shirts, but there were some other things as well. People weren't too happy with the designs because they thought they were a bit lackluster and plain. FNAF Plus. Five Nights at Freddy's Plus is an upcoming official non-canon remake reimagining of the original Five Nights at Freddy's developed by Fiznam, the developer of other fan games like Shadow Over Freddy's and Porkchop's Horror Show. This will be the only fan game which won't be free on GameJolt. Foxy did the Bite of 83. People thought that Foxy could have been the real culprit for the Bite of 83 as he is out of order throughout the first game. Another thing that pitches into this is that his jaw is extremely wide open, more than any other character besides Golden Freddy. But Foxy's toy counterpart, Mangle, is theorized now to be the true culprit of the Bite of 83. Foxy is a good guy. This is a very old theory in the Five Nights at Freddy's community, in which people believe that Foxy was a good guy. Basically, people believe this because he doesn't actually jump scare you and only leans into the door and you just die of a heart attack. It is regarded as one of the most popular Five Nights at Freddy's theories. Foxy's Two Hands, FNAF's second anniversary. For Five Nights at Freddy's second anniversary, Scott posted images of the characters in development phases. One was a Freddy without a suit torso, one was of Bonnie taking his suit head off and note the black bow tie, and one of Chica holding Winking Mr. Cupcake, or Carl, and two images of Bonnie and Chica in their jump scare positions, and one of Springtrap with his inside torso and his head exposed. The most peculiar one being Foxy, which has him without tears on his suit and torso, and he also has two hands instead of an endoskeleton hand and hook. Fredbear and Ultimate Custom Night. When you turn all characters off in Ultimate Custom Night and have Golden Freddy on one, you start the game and go on the cameras to start collecting Vaz coins. When you have 10, you can buy the Death coin. When Golden Freddy appears in your office, click the Death coin and get a jump scare from Fredbear. Freddy and Friends on Tour. This is a cartoon created by Steel Wool to tease up the release of Security Breach. It was a Scooby-Doo style animation. In each episode, Freddy would ask Foxy to be a part of the band with Chica and Bonnie. Foxy would then chase them, running through the doorways in the hallways from Scooby-Doo. And they would then unmask Foxy to be an endoskeleton. Each episode would then finish with the band performing, and then a teaser for one of the characters. After the first episode was released on YouTube, a website was created called securitybreach.com, which would display the most recent episode released, and the website is further explained in another entry. Freddy did the Bite of 83. Due to the handprints on Freddy's eye and bottom jaw, people thought it was the handprints of a crying child trying to get his head out of Freddy's jaws. The handprint was then revealed to only show William putting the animatronic suit heads onto the kids' dead bodies. Freddy Fazbear's declining relevance. Despite being the titular character, Freddy has been getting less and less relevant, with each new installment being overshadowed by his golden counterpart or Springtrap or Baby every time. This finally changed in Security Breach when he became a major character and a gameplay mechanic. Freddy is a girl. This is a theory made by fans in which people think Freddy is a girl. This is because in FNAF 1, Freddy peeks out of the girl's toilet instead of the boy's toilet. And this was debunked by the gravestones in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator, in which Freddy's graves says Gabriel, but some people still think he's a girl, as both genders can use that name. Friday Night Funkin' mods. People make mods for the extremely popular rhythm game Friday Night Funkin'. Many Five Nights at Freddy's inspired mods have you beatboxing against the main animatronics from each game. The game is sometimes counted as a week, and they usually always reference lore in games. There aren't many mods actually being made in the death of Friday Night Funkin', and there are some YouTubers who use FNAF mods to get views on their videos, thus earning them more money. Funko Backlight Animatronics. Funko has a line of merchandise related to FNAF called Backlight Animatronics. They are bright and colorful versions of the animatronics, but sadly don't actually glow in the dark. The Blacklight animatronics have never made an appearance in the video game series, but the 4 main Blacklight animatronics were once originally planned to be included in Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. They just go unused in the files. Funko leaks. There have been some occasions where Funko has accidentally leaked FNAF merch. They have mostly leaked Security Breach, as they once leaked all of the characters' names and the main glam rock animatronics designs. These accidental or purposeful leaks that Funko had done had caught them into some controversies with the Five Nights at Freddy's community and has led to Funko having their Five Nights at Freddy's license revoked, but then regained. Funko stealing fan designs. People have been saying that fan art or designs have been taken by Funko for their merchandise. 2 of the most iconic moments of this being the arcade final of Fredbear and Foxy in plush forms, which is just the basic Fredbear plush model used in SFM videos, and the Foxy plush was taken from the animation of FNAF plushies playing FNAF 4. The second one being the Twisted Chica pop, as it had been an unused look of the Twisted Chica done by Pinky Pills. Game theorists, Matt Pat. Hello internet, welcome to Game Theory. That was my Matt Pat impression, by the way. Matt Pat is a more prominent figure in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. He has made a collective 56 videos on the topic of Five Nights at Freddy's. First being Game Theory, Five Nights at Freddy's scariest monster is you. In 2014, the latest being Game Theory, FNAF, the clue that almost solves everything, FNAF Security Breach. In 2022. Glamrock Freddy talks about Among Us. This was a meme in which Glamrock Freddy would notice a vent and tell Gregory to vent. He then goes on to ramble about the hit 2020 game Among Us, and this was getting so popular that the voice actor of Funtime Freddy, Glamrock Freddy, and Fredbear, Kellen Goff, dubbed over it. This was then shared on Daco's FNAF meme review and got even more popular from there. Golden Freddy is Fredbear. This is a theory in which people believe that the characters Golden Freddy and Fredbear are the same characters. This would only make sense back in the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 days, as we hadn't seen Fredbear, but we had seen Golden Freddy. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 had influenced this, as Fredbear appears in the Stage 1 minigame with Spring Bonnie, and his hat was black, and so was his bow tie. This was later debunked in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, in which Fredbear appears, but instead of a black hat and bow tie, they were purple. This was even further debunked in Ultimate Custom Night with the Fredbear Easter egg. Golden Freddy is in the kitchen. This is a fan theory which was started by the game theorists, in which it is believed that as you don't actually see Golden Freddy anywhere in the pizzeria, it is thought that he is sat in the kitchen camera, which you cannot see. As Golden Freddy is never seen until the poster is activated, and the kitchen camera is always cut out, it makes it the perfect theory to be for Golden Freddy's situation in FNAF 1. This is believed by a huge amount of fans, as it does make sense. Golden Freddy is possessed by 2 souls. This is a theory which states the idea of 2 spirits, the Bite of 83 victim and the black-haired missing girl named Cassidy, both haunted Fredbear. The Golden Freddy is a combination of their 2 spirits. This got widely believed after the game theorists had made a video on this particular theory. Golden Freddy poster. There is a poster in the West Hall corner of an image of Freddy Fazbear performing and facing the camera. Sometimes it can rarely change to a picture of Freddy in the same location, but instead ripping his own head in half and missing an eye. What's even more rare than that is it changing to a close-up picture of Golden Freddy's head, and this will cause Golden Freddy to spawn in the office as soon as the monitor is pulled down. font. This is the font used in the Five Nights at Freddy's logo that is seen on the games, merch, and the book's front covers. Help Wanted, Curse of Dreadbear DLC. Steel Wool had added the DLC before Halloween, named as Curse of Dreadbear, to the game. It has many different Halloween-themed minigames such as Corn Maze and Trick or Treat minigame. It has also introduced new antagonists such as Grim Foxy and of course Dreadbear. Some minigames had set the release dates after the actual DLC released, and DLC in the end actually has nothing to do with the lore in the FNAF timeline besides Glitchtrap's appearance. Hidden minigames. Hidden minigames are Easter eggs in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. They appear in FNAF 2, 3, 4, Sister Location, Pizza Simulator, Help Wanted, and Security Breach. They all tailor to a piece of the lore, such as the Bite of 83 or 87, depending on what you believe, or when Elizabeth gets scooped into Circus Baby. And they play the most prominent role in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 because they help you get each ending. Hurricane, Utah. This is where the FNAF games and books take place, the most iconic being the original. I am still here. This was a teaser in which the sentence "I am still here" was left on the screen, which some of Springtrap's face on the right. Some people say that the Springtrap model used for that teaser was a beta design as it looks different than the endgame design. This has not been proven or denied. Ian and Braden Coffin. These are Scott's children. Scott lets them playtest the FNAF games before release. A fun fact, Scott dared one of his children to beat each challenge in Ultimate Custom Night, and when he completed one, he would get $20. His son went on to beat every single challenge, running Scott out of his money. I think he earned like $300 that night. But it was really good because he ended up exposing a lot of bugs and glitches in the game that would not have been caught otherwise. Illumix skins. This refers to the redesigns of characters which tailor to a specific theme chosen by Illumix. The themes are usually just randomly chosen, but some are chosen for special or seasonal events, such as Christmas and Valentine's Day. Their first skin was actually its own standalone characters, which is Freddy Frostbear, as he has his own standalone character slot and mechanic. You would have to buy them from the shop menu. It's Been So Long. The Five Nights at Freddy's 2 song, Living Tombstone FNAF 2, was a song released by the musician Living Tombstone, which is based off of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The art style is based off of an arcade screen which tells the story of a mother leaving her child behind at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and the child gets killed and is alluded to being placed in a Golden Freddy animatronic suit. It became widely popular with over 200 million views. JJ. This was a popular Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, in which a purple and blue Balloon Boy variant was hidden under the bottom right of the desk. When Five Nights at Freddy's 4 Halloween Edition was released, YouTuber GoMotion edited a picture of Nightmare Balloon Boy slumped in his chair as Nightmare JJ. And it is said it was one of the most believable hoaxes to date. After that, FNAF World was released and JJ got so popular that they gained a slot in the character roster. JJ's last appearance was an Ultimate Custom Night as a recolored Balloon Boy. Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is a fan game inspired by the fourth installment and by the Boogeyman video game. The lore involves Scott and his family being attacked at their house by ignited animatronics, so it takes a different spin on the fan game scene. When it's referring to the Joy of Creation fan games, most people immediately think of the Joy of Creation Reborn or the Joy of Creation Story Mode. Orneza, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name, makes art for the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. She's most known for making art for the novel trilogy, which turned into teasers and posters for ScottGames.com. She also did some art for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Simulator, which can be found on the title screen and in other places, and in Fun Time Chica's Pictures and Ultimate Custom Night. Lolbit. Lolbit was an Easter egg character as their head was made only to replace Ennard's mask in the primary control module. This stayed fitting until the DLC came out for Sister Location's Custom Night, where Lolbit got bumped up to be the antagonist to the Night Guard. This treatment was also given to other characters like Yendo. The mechanic with Lolbit was for whenever Lolbit's Please Stand By logo appeared on the screen, simply type LOL. Lilbit had also appeared as a character in DD's roster in Ultimate Custom Night, and the mechanic was just a copy over from the old Custom Night DLC of Sister Location. Lilbit has actually gotten popular enough to be more favorite than Funtime Foxy. Mangle's gender. There's a dispute in the community in which people are unsure if Mangle is a boy or a girl. People have been arguing about this because of Mangle's design. Mangle has red cheeks like Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Balloon Boy, which makes people believe that she is a boy, but also has lipstick and eyelashes like other girl characters, which makes people believe that he is a girl. Some people are believing that she is both. Markiplier. Mark Edward Fischbach is the most popular FNAF figure. He basically began the FNAF franchise by making a video on it called The Scariest Game in Years, Five Nights at Freddy's Part 1. It is his most popular gameplay video to date with over 100 million views, and he also started with a load of memes and edits such as, "Was that the bite of 87? McFarlane figures. This refers to rip-off LEGO figures by McFarlane. They make sets which usually have 1 to 2 characters in them, and the sets are usually small. And they look a lot like LEGO sets until you realize the illegal building techniques, and the sets usually go for a lot of money. Michael, Don't Leave Me Here. An exploited voice clip from Squimpus McGrimpus's FNAF VHS series, in which it's William shouting for Michael not to leave him in the safe room. It has recently been exploited in meme culture and the FNAF community. Mr. Hippo's stories. In Ultimate Custom Night, when you die by Mr. Hippo, it will take you to the usual death screen, but then he starts talking to you like a lot of characters do, but he doesn't actually stop. Also, various different renders of Mr. Hippo begin to fade in, some even overlapping. And he tells different stories, usually about him and Orville Elephant, which don't mean anything to the actual lore. If you try to close and reopen the game, it will just continue, and you have to sit through them until the end. Name debates. Many characters and names have been debated on in the community, well-known examples being Malheur or Glitch Trap, with Malheur being the canon name and Glitch Trap being the name many fans do call it. The most famous, however, is the Marionette and the Puppet, the Marionette being the canon name and the Puppet being a fan-given name. There are many more examples, but those are the most famous ones. Nose Honk. This is an Easter egg which has been an addition to every Five Nights at Freddy's game besides Security Breach. In FNAF 1, it can be found on the nose of Freddy Fazbear in the Celebrate poster. In FNAF 2, just press the nose of Toy Freddy on the poster. In FNAF 3, click the nose of Freddy on the poster above the box. In FNAF 4, simply click the Freddy plush on the bed. In FNAF Sister Location, click the nose on the Fredbear plush. This is only possible on Custom Night. In Pizza Simulator, click Helpy's nose above the monitor. In Ultimate Custom Night, click the Freddy plush's nose. In Help Wanted, tap Freddy's nose on the title screen when you load in. And in AR, click Freddy's nose on the shop menu. Novel Trilogy. These are the first books which were released under the franchise of Five Nights at Freddy's. They are actually important to the lore, as many character names were revealed in this series, such as Charlie, William Afton, and many others. These book covers usually have a specific character, the Silver Eyes having Freddy Fazbear, the Twisted Ones having Nightmare, and the Fourth Closet having Funtime Freddy. The Twisted Ones having Nightmare on the cover is ironic because he never actually appears in the book. One Night at Flumpty's. One Night at Flumpty's is an indie point-and-click horror fan game series developed by Jonachrome. Instead of it being 3D and using Chuck E. Cheese-like animatronics, it uses cartoon characters, one being an egg with arm and legs, and there are other varieties such as that. It is also more comedic in decorations around the office or building. Original Ultimate Custom Night poster. While Scott was developing Ultimate Custom Night, he posted teasers to show off the roster as he added characters to it. But fans noticed some weird characters popping up in the rosters, such as Candy Cadet and Adventure Indo 1. These were eventually replaced by Withered Chica and Withered Bonnie, which were fan favorites, which made fans to be more excited. There are also some characters that were split up into 2 character slots, such as Nightmare Freddy with the Freddys, and the Trash and the Gang. They were eventually combined together into single character slots to make space for more important characters. Pop Goes. This is a fan game which was created on June 26, 2016 and is now regarded as the second most popular FNAF fan game, behind Five Nights at Candy's, of course. It was originally formed on a subreddit called r/2124 and was later formed privately by an entire team of people as an official FNAF fan game. It is a fan game of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, and its story takes into account only the first 3 games of the series, the most famous developer of the series being Kane Carter. Purple Guy in the minigames sections. Purple Guy can appear in the minigames sections in different games. He can appear in the Go 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 minigame in FNAF 2, in which he kills 5 children who Foxy should have saved. He also appears in the FNAF 3 Death minigames, in which he dismantles each animatronic when they reach a blocked-off door. The most well-known minigame he appears in is the final minigame of FNAF 3, in which you play as a spirit and follow William until he climbs into a spare Spring Bonnie suit and dies. r/Five Nights at Freddy's. This is an official subreddit for the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. It is used for news and community posts, but developers for fan games like to post teasers. And Scott usually likes to post updates on games or developments. If you want your upcoming fan game or fan art to be seen by many people, just post it to the subreddit. Rare screens. These are Easter eggs, which are unique pictures of a character or other thing. They are usually put in the games for lore, but some are not needed, such as the one of Molten Freddy, which was a random string of numbers over it, and nobody knows what it's used for. Some are more important, such as one of Lefty, which shows us that the puppet is inside Lefty. Another important one is the sister location minigames. It is framed as a platformer like Mario Bros, then having to go back to the beginning and see Elizabeth get scooped by Circus Baby. Roblox and Minecraft remakes. People will try to remake the games in Roblox and Minecraft, and in Roblox, people will try to make their own version of the game or make a roleplay game to tailor to a specific game or just characters in general. And in Minecraft, people will just remake the maps from the games or go the extra mile and code something specific. Rule 34 art. When you have a fan base, there will always be people who will be into sexualizing the characters in the franchise that the fan base is a fan of. RWQFSFASXC. This is an Easter egg in FNAF 2. A black version of Toy Bonnie with glowing eyes and teeth will stand at the left side of your office. Staring at him will make your game crash. He appeared in FNAF World as one of the many playable characters. His most recent appearance was in FNAF AR, in which he guards the Remnant. Sanshi versus Funko. This is a debate where people think either Funko is better at making FNAF merch or Sanshi is better at making FNAF merch. I mean, it's a weird debate. Most people say Sanshi is better because of their plushies looking more accurate to the in-game plushies and making merch which looks like it came straight out of the in-game universe, and Funko isn't the fan favorite mainly because of their Chica plush and Ballora plush. Sanshi's FNAF logo. For the merch Sanshi had manufactured, they created a logo for the franchise. You've most likely seen it. Each main character lined up at the top above the text Freddy Fazbear's Pizza with the tagline, "Where fantasy and fun comes to life." For the re-release of their FNAF plushies, they scrapped the original logo and used the more modern FNAF logo created by Scott. Scott Cawthon. Scott Braden Cawthon is the developer of the Five Nights at Freddy's series and many other games, which are based around Christianity. He has created a huge community on the internet, with children and adults alike. Scott retired somewhere around June 10th because of donating to anti-LGBTQ stuff, thus has resided in Texas with his family. Scott's donations to live streams. When someone from the Five Nights at Freddy's community, usually Daco or MatPat, streams, it would be for a charity, such as St. Jude. Scott would usually come to the stream to donate a huge amount of money to the cause, but then he would just use the name Anonymous to keep himself hidden, but people usually clock in that is him instantly. The highest he has been known to donate is $50,000. ScottGames.com. This was the site that Scott mainly used to upload teasers for the upcoming games. The logo on the site had been changed to many different vibrant colors or colored depending on the event, like Halloween, where it would go yellow and orange. Scott Games had a feud with the source code of the site FNAF World, Scott's secondary site, and right now both sites have gone dark. Security breach character leaks. Once Scott had allowed Funko to make Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach merchandise, someone had leaked a sheet which contained the designs for the Glamrock animatronics and their names. People were obviously enraged by this and said that the anticipation for the release of FNAF Security Breach was ruined because of this incident. Security Breach delays. Security Breach was delayed many times for remodeling, fixing, editing, and re-recording voice lines and many other things. It had taken Steel Wool 2 full years to get Security Breach out to the public, which made people have low standards about the game as they weren't happy with the amount of time it took to release it. Security Breach glitches. As we've seen from many gameplay videos, most prominently Markiplier's and Jacksepticeye's, Security Breach is extremely buggy. The thing that is most buggy is Glamrock Freddy as a whole. He can be seen T-posing, walking on air, and saying the wrong voice lines and just a host of other things. It's a disaster. Shadow Freddy. This is an Easter egg in FNAF 2 in which a purple or dark version of the withered Golden Freddy can be seen in withered Bonnie's position in Parts and Service. He then appears in FNAF 3 as he slumps against the left wall near the door. His most recent appearance is in FNAF World, where he is one of the many playable characters. In FNAF 2, when you look at him for too long, he will crash your game. Shared voice actors. Some characters in the franchise are voiced by the same voice actors, a good example being Kellen Goff, with him voicing Fredbear in Ultimate Custom Night and Funtime Freddy in Sister Location. Another being Joe Goddard, who voices Mr. Hippo, Funtime Foxy, and Rockstar Foxy, all in Ultimate Custom Night. Showtime songs and renders. In Help Wanted's files, you can find renders of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy singing. There's also a Showtime song compiled in with it. This is the first time that some of the characters got voice lines. These will play when you press the Showtime button, but the button was hidden in the game. Sparky the Dog. This is most likely the first Five Nights at Freddy's hoax. It was posted to Reddit back when Five Nights at Freddy's had its first blow-up, and it was of a supposed screenshot of a backstage camera but with an animatronic peeking through the crack of the door. It was of a dog animatronic, with you only being able to see its face in a small section of the right hand, and it had become a community favorite. Squimpus McGrimpus VHS tapes. Squimpus McGrimpus has made some VHS-style videos in FNAF. It usually starts off normally and gets scarier and freakier the more you watch, his most iconic ones being the Night Security Training video and Fazbear Entertainment video manual. These have been reacted to by many different popular Five Nights at Freddy's YouTubers, and even some people who haven't played any of the games from the franchise but know of the phenomenon. Stars. You can unlock stars by completing certain challenges in the FNAF games. You might be able to get them from beating Night 7, beating Nightmare, or whatever, 20 mode, etc. These are obtainable in FNAF 1, 2, 3, 4, and Sister Location. As an extra piece of trivia, in FNAF 1 you can actually hold down CD1 to unlock the first star and CD2 to unlock the second star. Steel Wool versus Illumix. This is a debate in the community in which people think either Steel Wool Studios is better at making games or Illumix is better at it. People usually say Steel Wool because they can make a game for VR and mobile, Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted, and console, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. But people don't usually say Illumix because they can only make a FNAF game for a phone, but it's an AR game. Survive the Night. Survive the Night was a song created by Mando Pony in 2014 after FNAF 2's release. It's themed around FNAF 2, and many animations have been created around the song. Mando Pony has created many other popular and iconic FNAF songs, such as Just Gold and Balloons. The Box. At the end of FNAF 4's Night 8, the box can be seen for the first time in the franchise. The box remains locked with text above it. Now, according to Scott Cawthon, this was intended to be open at this time, but, however, it was scrapped as the fanbase failed to solve FNAF 4 in time. With the release of FNAF World, there was unused texture of the files of an open box but with nothing inside of it, which shows that it was meant to be opened in FNAF World, but later scrapped for unknown reasons. Later, the box appeared in the alien form in Security Breach Fury's Rage, with the inside of the head having many different things from FNAF 4 inside of it. The Desolate Hope. The Desolate Hope is a game made by Scott, and this game is a Metroidvania boss game, top-down view shooter, and other types and stuff like that. It falls under a lot of different genres, like Metroidvania, boss game, top-down view shooter, games like that. You can go around to a world taken over by robots and defeating different bosses throughout the game, and your character is a walking coffee pot who is famous enough to appear in FNAF World Update 2, and also was an Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted, once in the prize counter and another time in FNAF 3's game mode. Five Nights at Freddy's movie. This is a movie adaptation of the video game franchise Five Nights at Freddy's. It's being created by a movie studio called Blumhouse Productions, and they are also famous for Halloween, Happy Death Day, and The Purge. There have been many updates from the creator of the movie, and many people have created fake trailers and fake promotional posters to trick people into thinking it was released. But now we have a teaser trailer out, and it is coming out October 27th, 2023. I am very excited. The Five Nights at Freddy's ride. This was a ride started by Sally Dark Rides, and it was going to be a ride in which you sat in a golf cart and got toured around the pizza place with a flashlight. Animatronics will jump scare you, and you need to deflect them with the flashlight. People think it has been canceled, as there have been no news about it for months as of May 2022. The Freddy Files. This is a series of books in which they will give you a breakdown of each game in the series except for FNAF World, and also a breakdown of the other books in the series. The second installment of the series, The Freddy Files Updated Edition, fell into some hot water as it had many errors and used renders made by fans and also included action figure heads. The Freddy Files Ultimate Guide fixed this by using Ultimate Custom Night mugshots. The Living Tombstone. This is the most popular FNAF music person who creates songs about FNAF. He has stopped creating songs now, with the most recent one being about Sister Location. Their song, Five Nights at Freddy's one song, The Living Tombstone, is the most popular Five Nights at Freddy's video on YouTube. The Walton Files. The Walton Files is a series of VHS tapes, which is a recording of a burger diner called Bond's Burgers. It is an alternate reality game set across YouTube, and it has its own website. It has managed to gain itself a popular audience, and some even in the FNAF community. The animatronics in the series are haunted by the souls of different central characters of the series, and have also haunted the tapes. Its lore is easier to understand from a newer perspective, and many fans compared it to the likeness of the Mandela catalog. This VHS series was also based around a FNAF fan game called Welcome to Bond's Burgers, where there are many YouTube videos explaining it better, so you can look those up. The Hottest Dog. The Hottest Dog made FNAF animations using Source Filmmaker. Many of them have been turned into some of the largest FNAF memes. He's also the most popular FNAF animator, said by the community. He's also created some of his own characters to use in his standalone series, and his most popular video being FNAF SFM Lullaby by Dr. Steele. They've also animated some other dank memes. Try Hard Ninja. Try Hard Ninja is a person who creates many songs about different video games. He's most known for his Five Nights at Freddy's songs, his most popular one being It's Me, with over 50 million views. A lot of his songs are made into Minecraft music videos, such as Follow Me and Don't Come Crying. Vanessa and Vanny are separate people. This is neither confirmed or denied, but shown in endings that the person who is in the Vanny suit is similar to Vanessa. It is not confirmed that the person who's actually in the Vanny suit is Vanessa or not. Well, FNAF AR confirmed that Vanny had rainbow streaks in her hair, but Vanessa's pure blonde, so it wouldn't add up. And the statue and the posters released by Funko show Vanny and Vanessa in the same room. It still could be a coincidence, but it could also mean something. Vincent. This is the name given to Purple Guy by fans before it was revealed to be William Afton in The Silver Eyes. Will Trap versus Mike Trap. This is a debate where people think either William is in the Springtrap suit or Michael is in it. People usually bring up the topic of the Final Custine sister location, and the most plausible option is William because of Scrap Trap's name, and Ultimate Custom Night is William, but saying this would mean that the other Scrap animatronics would have the dead bodies' names as their names in Ultimate Custom Night, such as Scrap Baby as Elizabeth, Lefty as Charlie, and Michael isn't the fan favorite, as there is barely any proof to him. Willy's Wonderland. This is a film that came out in 2021 which starred Nicolas Cage, who was also a producer. People were complaining that it was similar to FNAF as it was being set in a pizza place with killer animatronics, and some of the characters were even changed as they were too similar to actual FNAF characters, like Barry Bear being similar to Freddy, and Pirate Pete being similar to Foxy, and Regina Rabbit was too similar to Bonnie. Withered Balloon Boy and Marionette. These were edits created by someone called Fazboggle, in which they edited Balloon Boy and the Marionette into withered variants, and people were fooled by these and took them as Five Nights at Freddy's 3 leaks. The Withered Balloon Boy edit was so popular that the company Just Toys made it as an official dangler toy, and Fazboggle had created them not intended as leaks or to fool anyone, and they were created just for fun. Withered Freddy twerking. A clip commonly paired with the quirky phone call in which Withered Freddy twerks. That's it. Withered Freddy's eyebrow raise. In FNAF Trash Posts, or Trash Posts in general, some made an animation of Withered Freddy mimicking Dwayne Johnson's iconic eyebrow raise. The clip became quite popular and is usually paired with such sounds as the Vine thud sound effect. Yellow Bear. This was the original name that was in the files of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 before he was given the name from fans, more specifically from Markiplier. The name Yellow Bear was probably going to be used as a similar name to Freddy's original name Freddy Bear, as they bear a similarity with the word bear. Yendo. Yendo is an Easter egg in the 5th installment of the FNAF franchise sister location. It was an Easter egg which could rarely appear in the Funtime Auditorium while trying to stay away from the Funtime Foxy. Yendo is a duplicate endoskeleton model for another Funtime character, Funtime Freddy. The only thing that sets Yendo apart from Funtime Freddy is his golden eyes, which has led some fans to believe that there's actually a Funtime Fredbear animatronic. U2's merchandise. U2's has created merchandise for the franchise, and they have made minifigures and even figures for fan games such as Pop Goes or the Droid Creation. Some FNAF YouTubers have gotten many FNAF themed figures by U2's, such as Night Guard Daco or King of FNAF Markiplier. Plushies and pins were also created, but they're not as prominent as the figures. Tier 2. Now I'm going to kick your... I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. I don't know. In FNAF World Update 2's section on Foxy Fighters, there are 3 NPC protagonists which help the main protagonist, Foxy. One of these characters is Adventure JJ, who has many voice lines just like the other characters. And one of these was cut, however, in which the line said, "The entry, now I'm going to kick your behind. You're a booty, you're a butt." And then he says, "Wait, can I say that in the game?" You can't. This is a quote which can be paired along with the character William Afton. We can see this by it appearing in the minigames after William Afton slides into you. Many people don't actually know why this is being said. Most people believe it's being said because it means that you can't save the lost children's souls. 395248. This is a code in FNAF 3 which you need to enter into the tiles on the office wall to enter the Stage 01 minigame. There's an actual clever Easter egg behind this, a specific number. This is actually a reversed hex code for the same purple as the purple guy sprite. And this wasn't discovered for some time, but when people found out, there wasn't a huge amount of attention. This was later forgotten until Help Wanted, and in Help Wanted, you can input the specific code to enter a coin for the prize counter. 5 a.m. at Freddy's. 5 a.m. at Freddy's was a series created and animated by Pymations, which used to make animatronics based off of different video games, but nowadays does original animations like Suction Cup Man, and these are notable in the series for being funny. And there's not much to say besides that they're a piece of concept people universally enjoy. 8-Bit Ryan. 8-Bit Ryan is a FNAF YouTuber who is like Daco in some ways, as he does play a lot of FNAF fan games. While unlike Daco, 8-Bit Ryan is known for playing a wider range of games outside of just FNAF. He doesn't have as big of a tie to Scott as Daco does. Despite 8-Bit Ryan not being as popular in the FNAF community as Daco, he's still very well respected. Adult Theory. Okay, this one I'm gonna have to censor a little bit, but you'll understand what I'm saying. A theory created by Kane Carter after the Sister Location trailer had released is adult theory. The theory itself states that the location in Sister Location is a club made for adult entertainment, and this was one of the most regarded theories at the time. However, pretty quickly when this theory came out, Reddit started to go crazy about it, and started to say the animatronics were people who sell their bodies for money, and just being absolutely ridiculous. Of course, this wasn't real, but there was a lot of backup for this theory being true, since Ballora having mammary glands, and baby often being a term related to adult things. And this theory ended up getting so out of hand that Kane had to do a follow-up post explaining a few things, and when all was said and done, it was completely incorrect. Adventure Mangle Hanging. This was a teaser, which was a black dark screen, and when you brighten it up, you would see Adventure Mangle hanging, but changing the contrast, you can see her lower body hanging by the paddle ball that she used at the end of the trailer. At the bottom of the screen, some slanted text can be seen reading, "See what you've all done." Afton's large forehead. A meme in which Afton, also known as Scraptrap, is said to have a large forehead compared to all the other animatronics. Many people compare him to things such as Jimmy Neutron, and this meme is factually incorrect, as Scott modeled Afton after an actual human and the others not. Afton Built. Afton Built was a rejected pitch for a game that was a darker take on the FNAF franchise. The description on Game Jolt says, following the events of FNAF 3, you play as the mechanic, one of the engineers responsible for the upkeep of the attraction. After saving the main attraction from the blaze, you find the animatronic has been possessed with the spirit of the founder of Freddy Fazbear's, William Afton. The mechanic and Afton team up to continue his work and build Afton a new body to walk amongst the living yet again. And the player is tasked with surviving 4 of the most harrowing locations in Fazbear history, using only their wits, movement, and a set of handmade tools. Using these, the player will have to fight back, striking back against the monsters that hunt them, using traps in the environment to corner and scrap them, all the while exploring these locations for the secrets that lay just beneath the surface. In Afton Built, you are tasked with scrapping the main animatronic of each level. In order to do this, you are given a set of tools and environmental hazards to use to your advantage, and you can download the pre-alpha proof of concept demo on their page at GameJolt.com. Afton Built Controversy. The Afton Built controversy is an interesting one. Some game developers worked Afton Built in hopes of selling it to Scott Cawthon, but he didn't like it and asked to see more originality. So the team worked some more, then came up with some unique aspects of the game, like being able to scrap the animatronics using tools. They continually sent updates to Cawthon, and soon he sent them an email asking to make an NDA or non-disclosure agreement. But this was the summer of 2021, a time where Scott Cawthon found himself at the center of a lot of controversy. And because of this, Cawthon wasn't able to get back to them for several months. The people at ClickTeam Fusion, a programming tool used for game design, were put in charge of fanverse communications, and they got along well with the developers of Afton Built. But they still hadn't done any paperwork, so they continued to develop their game at their own expense. They did eventually get an NDA, but that didn't grant them entry to the fanverse. Over a year later, they started discussing the budget. ClickTeam couldn't negotiate for Cawthon as he still owned FNAF. Communication between parties was still an issue, but not as much progress was made regarding the budget. Since no progress was made, it was very difficult to continue to fund the project. Finally, Cawthon agreed on a budget, development timeline, and funding structure, and the team quickly finished and sent over a demo to him. After a few weeks, they got an email from ClickTeam saying the team should be expecting their contracts within the next week, but Scott Cawthon changed his mind on the funding structure, implying that the development team has still not proven themselves, and he denied them entry to the fanverse and granted them permission to continue working on the game in a non-profit fashion. They didn't sign the contract. Animatronics looking at the camera. There's an unused texture in FNAF 1. It was for the show stage camera. The 3 main animatronics in the game are in their usual positions, but they are scarily or creepily staring into the camera. And some people say they have seen this in the game, but they are misremembering. It's literally not in the game. Another FNAF game open source. Another FNAF game open source is a fan game made by Fiznob. The description says, FNAF 2 has been remastered, absolutely terrifying. Another FNAF fan game, open source, is a moddable, infinitely changeable version of FNAF 2. It can be anything you want it to, so to make it the most enjoyable horror you have ever imagined, all you have to do is mod it. It's FNAF 2 with newer mechanics, a new office in different settings, and the gameplay is only a custom night as of the beta. However, it was going to have missions and unlocks available. The custom night mode has, alongside the character settings, night settings, and game mods. Bear of Vengeance. Bear of Vengeance is one of the anime sections or intermissions in Ultimate Custom Night. It is a style of a samurai anime instead of some other common tropes like Toy Chica High School Years was. The bear narrates the futility of his battles against the fox while lamenting his current punishment for the week before rebounding and plotting revenge. Scenes then transition to the fox in his dojo, gleefully remarking on the inevitability of the bear's retaliation and declaring that he will be ready, while Mangle comments. Each week the bear is forced to endure a different humiliation by doing household tasks. This could be symbolizing the relationship between William and Henry, but where Mangle falls in this theory is unsure, but some agree it is Elizabeth. There is some merchandise released by McFarlane of the fox in a smaller dojo part, excluding Mangle or the bear. Beaver and Wolf animatronics in FNAF 1. Scott had mentioned in the interview with Daco that he had many different plans for what the animatronics would end up being in the first game. Freddy was originally planned to be a beaver animatronic, but was switched to a bear for being too similar to Chipper from Chipper and Sons Lumberco. While Foxy had two different plans, one for being a fox, of course, but another one being a wolf, and he ended up being the former. Although these animatronic ideas were cancelled for the first game, they had come back in different forms later in the series with El Chip and Pizzeria Simulator and Twisted Wolf and the Twisted Ones.